Okay. So what I'm saying is that we are going to look at basic tools of economic analysis. And these are the tools we use in economics to analyze, to interpret data. Now, in under the scope of economics, Professor Leonel Robbins defined economics to be a science. And what makes it to be a science, it's because economists use scientific approach, scientific methods. And one of the, or let me say, some of these scientific methods or approach, it is the use of the tools, different tools in analyzing our data, interpreting our data, to compile our data. And that is exactly what the basic tools of economic analysis is all about. There are many tools of economic analysis. We have table, we have charts. So under chart, we can have a bar chart, we have pie charts. And not only that, even we can also talk about measure of central tendency, measure of dispersion. So those are some of the tools, or few of the tools we use in economics for analyzing and interpreting data. And that is what we have to understand first. But before we move on, I would like us to firstly look at what under the syllabus we're supposed to look at. The first thing we have to look at here, from what I have here, is talking about inductive and deductive method. And then we're also going to look at what positive and normative reasoning it's all about. So before we move on to the tools, before I will start talking about the tools. So let me firstly and quickly talk about what inductive and deductive method it's all about. Now, when we are talking about inductive method in economics, we are talking about a situation whereby we use a specific situation to generalize the whole situation. Maybe there is a particular thing that happened in economy, and we now use that single or that specific thing that is to generalize the whole thing. Let me just give you an instance now. Let's say there's an increase, or the price of rice is highly expensive in the maybe in Kebbi State. Now, when we now use that to generalize that there is an increase in, or there is a high price of rice in the northern part of Nigeria. So we are not looking at, we don't go to every other part, but the only thing is that we have a knowledge that the price of rice in Kebbi State is on a high side. And we use that one to generalize or to conclude that yes, in every part of the northern Nigeria, so the price of rice is high. So we are talking about inductive method. So we are using a specific that is to generalize the whole economy, just a single part of economy to conclude the entire economy. So we are talking about inductive method or inductive approach. Now, when we are talking about deductive, so deductive approach is just like an opposite of inductive approach. So it is just like an opposite of inductive approach. Now, when we say deductive reasoning, inductive method, it is when we are trying to draw a conclusion that is using a general situation that is to conclude for a specific situation. So using a general situation to conclude a specific situation. So now what we are saying is that, let's say for instance now, maybe when there is an inflation in a country, So, and we now conclude that since there is an inflation in the country, so it is going to affect. Hello. Hello.
Hello, Juwon. Please mute yourself. Lizzie, you should mute yourself too.
Okay, sir.
Juwon, mute yourself. You can go ahead, sir.
Okay. So the deductive method is talking about using a general situation that is to conclude a specific situation. So using a general situation that is to conclude a specific situation. So it's just like maybe as I was saying earlier, we are talking about maybe inflation in the country. And we now conclude that so the inflation in the country is going to affect the entire, it's going to affect an individual household because inflation is a general problem. And if we are now looking at that general problem, that is to, to conclude a problem in an individual household, that the problem that is going on about inflation in the country, it is going to affect an individual home. Now, one thing we need to understand in that area is that, yes, all these inductive, deductive, they are just like when you are just stating something which you cannot say or which you cannot conclude, they are very correct or they are not correct. But only what we need to understand here is that we need to understand what a deductive is all about, and we need to understand what inductive is all about. So inductive, it is just to use a general situation that is to conclude a specific situation. An inflation in the country, when we think or when we conclude that, yes, when there is an inflation in the country, it means that it is going to affect an individual household. Yeah, it is possible to affect individual household, and it is possible not to affect. But we are looking at using a general situation that is to conclude or to draw a conclusion for a specific situation. That is what we call deductive reasoning. Please, let me, is that clear? Or if there is any question, let me know. So before we move on. Hello? Hello, let me hear you. Let me hear you. Please, can you speak up? Are you clear with that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, what about the second person there? Please, I want your response so that we can. So I think I have a Lizzie here. I have a Isaac. I have a Avis. Please, can you? So just signify if you are, if you are okay with what I have done already, so that we can proceed on time.
Yes, sir. There's no question.
There is no comment.
Question. Yes.
Okay, now let's move to positive statements. Now, when we are talking about positive statements, positive statements are based on empirical evidence, and they are the kind of the statement that can be texted. So they are the kind of the statements that involve no value judgments. Positive statements are the kind of the statement that is direct. Okay, let me give you an instance now. Now, please, can someone state the law of demand for me, please? Hello? Hello, let's talk now. Our time is going. Please, let someone state the law of demand, please, quickly.
The law of demand says that the higher the quantity, the lower the higher the quantity, the lower the the higher the price, the lower the quantity. Sorry.
Okay. Actually, I want to correct you about that, but you have corrected yourself. Now, what you need to understand about the law of demand is that we have what we call first law of demand, and then we have second law of demand. So in the first law of demand, it is the price that determines the quantity, not the quantity that determines the price. So you can't say the higher the quantity, the lower the price. No, it is the price that determines the quantity. Now, if you look at that particular statement, that statement, it is talking about, yes, if there's an increase in the price of goods and services, automatically there should be a reduction in the quantity of that product that is being bought. Am I right? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Am I right?
Yeah.
That is
Sir.
exactly what the law is talking about. But let me ask you a question. But do you think that law can hold at all time? Do you think the law can hold at all time? So if the answer is no, why? Please, let's talk, because of our time. Let's talk, let's speak. Please, I'm waiting.
Sorry, sir. Please help us out. Sorry.
You said what?
I don't know. Sorry.
Okay, what about others?
I
What
don't
about
know.
others? You don't know. Now, what you need to understand is that that particular law sometime may not hold. Now, okay, let us see a situation whereby it is all about what we call a kind of good that is necessity. And there is no any alternative for that particular commodity. Now, if there is no any alternative and that kind of good, it is a kind of good that is very necessary, that if you don't take it, you may not survive it. So we can see that it is very possible that that particular law of demand that we state may not hold. So in that situation, we can see that particular law as a normative statement. Am I saying something?
Yes, sir.
Am I saying something? So we can see it to be what? We can see it to be a normative. Because that it's talking about, okay, if the price is high, the quantity, the quantity of that commodity will be reduced, but not all the time that we can see it in that area. So a normative statement is a kind of the statement that makes a value judgment. So such a judgment is the opinion of the speaker. So no one can prove it. So, and then the statement is either correct or may not correct. That is what you need to understand. The statement may correct and the statement may not correct. And that is why we call it a normative. So a normative statement, it is the one that makes a value judgment. Such a judgment, it is the opinion of the speaker. So no one can prove it. No one can prove it whether it is correct. It can be proved, it can be proved. That is to see whether it is going to be correct or it is not going to be correct. And that is what I asked you that particular question in the first place, that not all the time that particular law is going to hold. Because if you want to know whether that particular law is old, you can now go and test it. Okay, maybe by going to market area to go and ask, now, please, when there is an increase in the price of this particular product, what happened to demand of it? So it is then when you now get the response from the sellers that you can now make a judgment in that particular area. So we call it a normative statement. So for the positive statement, so that positive statement based on empirical evidence can be tested and then involve no value judgment. So that's one, positive statement refers to what is and contain no indication. Now, when we are talking about positive statement, A positive statement will tell you what exactly something is. Now, when the price of this particular product increases, what happened to that product? Yes, there is a reduction in that, the quantity demanded for that product. So that one is talking about a positive statement. So a positive statement is a statement that tells you exactly how a matter or how a situation occurs. So why a normative statement is not going to tell you how a situation occurs. You can only get the situation, you can only get to know how the situation occurs when you test it, when you put it into test, and then at the end of the day, you get the result of that particular, of what has happened. So that is the difference between positive statement and then normative statement. Please, any question on that before we move on?
No, sir.
So it is clear?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. So let me have someone to tell me what I have said. So just to differentiate between inductive reasoning and inductive reasoning or method and deductive, and then positive and normative. So let someone quickly what I have said about inductive reasoning or inductive method, deductive method.
Inductive method of reasoning is when you generate a fact about the whole from part of it.
Okay.
Deductive reasoning is when you generate the fact about something using the whole to get the fact about a part of it.
So, okay, that is what?
That's deductive.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So example.
Like when you generate the condition of a part of the economy from the whole economy.
Yes, that is when you generate a situation from the part of economy from the whole economy. That is deductive. Okay, can you give the example?
Like when you look at the price of rice in Kebbi.
Okay.
If the price of rice in Kebbi is high and the economy there is not booming, then can you generalize the whole of maybe Nigeria?
Of the northern, okay, or Nigeria, yeah.
Area of the country.
Thank you very much. So let me have another person for the positive and normative. Let me have another person for normative. So who just talked now?
Aisha.
Aisha, please, can I have a Avis? Nephew, can I have your opinion? Oh yeah, speak now. Or Karim, can you please help us with? Okay, how is that? Because of our time, can you help us with that also? Because I want to be very sure.
The positive one is when you get the exact fact from a statement.
Okay.
Like you get the exact condition of what maybe the economy is like.
Okay.
While for the other one, I can't remember the name.
Normative.
That is when you like get when you think of something, when somebody gives his own opinion about a thing, but you cannot know if it's the truth except when you try to
test when you put it to test.
Find out.
Yes, so exactly. So it's just like an opinion. Yes. It's just like an opinion. Thank you very much. Now let's now move to a table now as one of the tools for economic analysis. One of the tools of economic analysis. Now, we want to quickly look at what a table is. Now, when we are talking about a table in economics simply means an orderly arrangement of an information, fact, data in rows and columns. That is what we refer to as a table. A table simply means when you arrange your information or your data in order, that is, when you arrange it orderly. That is orderly in the sense that maybe, like, there are a lot of importance of a table. So, but the only thing you can be able to get, to know how a table has been important, it is your arrangement. So a table can be defined or can be described as an orderly arrangement of an information, data, using rows and columns. That is what we refer to as table. So table is not what you use to write, maybe where you put your book right now, or where you where you used to eat food. That is not what we call table in economics. So when we are talking about table in economics, we are talking about the arrangements of facts, the arrangement of information, the arrangement of data using rows and column. Now, let's quickly look at some of the features, some of the qualities of a good table. Some of the qualities of a good table. Number one, a table must be easy to understand. A table must be easy to what? To understand. Now, and that is why, because let me say this, when we use table to analyze or to arrange our data, what we are trying to do is that we are trying to summarize the large data that we have. And that is why the use of table makes us to understand everything that has been put in rows and columns. So one of the features of every good table is that anything you put there, any information you put there, it must be very easy for everyone to understand. Now, when you can use table to compare, for comparison, let me put it in that way. You can use table for comparison. But if your table is not being drawn in a way that would make people to understand it, you may not be able to, people may not be able to compare data. People may not be able to compare the information you put on the table. So the first thing is that table, any good table must be easy to understand. That is, every information you put there, it must be very easy to understand. And that is why on a table, there is always a title, there is always subheadings. So the subheadings is going to explain what you have. Let me just give you an example now. There is something we call demand schedule. Do we all know what we call demand schedule? Hello? Hello? Please, I need your response so that I will know that you are following. We know what we call demand schedule. Please let us respond. Let us respond. How is that, Karim?
I don't know what demand schedule.
Demand schedule, it's a table where a table that shows a relationship between the price of goods and the quantity of that goods purchased. That is what we call a demand schedule. Do you now understand? Hello? So that is what we call demand. Please, that network is breaking. The network is breaking. I don't know why. Okay, let's continue. So what I'm saying is that Demand schedule is a table, and that particular table shows relationship. Hello? Hello?
Hello, sir. You can go ahead with the class. We have
Hello?
less than 9 minutes to go.
Okay. So now what I'm saying is that if you see that demand schedule, you will see that each column of the table has its own subheading. A heading, there is a price, and the second column, there will be the quantity demanded. Now, when you draw your table and then you label it very well, so people will understand what you are presenting in that table. So one of the features is that every good table must be easy to understand. Number two, there is a row and column title. There is a row and column title. So your table must have title. Both the row in your column must have title. Even your row must have title on a table. Number three, there should be a general explanatory title or heading. So every good table must have explanatory title. That explanatory title is talking about what the table is trying to explain. Now, I said something the other time. I said demand schedule. Demand schedule, it is a title, it's a general title of that table. And the moment someone that understands what a demand schedule or someone that understands economics, the moment you see that, oh, this is a demand schedule. So the next thing is that the person will understand what is going to come next. The person will understand that, oh, this table is talking about the relationship between the price of goods and the quantity of that goods that particular buyer is demanding for. A demand schedule of Mr. So title. Another thing is that every good table, you must prepare your table that is in a neat way. So there must be a neat layout of your table so that when it is neat, it attracts people. So people want to see what is there. But when you have your table, and that is the reason why whenever you want to draw a table, you have to use your ruler. So you cannot just use your hand, that is to draw your table. So because when you are doing that, you may not be, that table may not look neat. So every table or a good table must be very, very neat. So, and then let us quickly go to the use of table. Let's quickly go to the use of table. Let's quickly go to the use of table. Number one, we can use table to present data in an orderly and systematic manner. We use table to present data. That is one of the use of table. So the table is used for the presentation of data. That is, you draw your columns, I think I have said something about this the other time. Yes, you can have your raw data just written down just anyhow. You put it, or the moment you put it or you present it in a table, the big data that you have can be summarized. So, and when you summarize it, it can be summarized and then with the use of table. So table helps us to summarize our data. Number three, table makes it possible to require figures to be easily located. That's another thing. So on the table, you can easily locate a data. Let me just give you an instance now. Let's say a demand schedule is given to you and the price is being written from 1 naira to 5 naira. And then the quantity is attached to it. Now, someone asks you that, how many quantity of these products is demanded at the price of 3 naira? So now, since you have presented it in a table, you can quickly look at it, okay, at 3 naira, what is the quantity on that 3 naira? So instantly, within few seconds, you have gotten that particular answer. So table, it make it possible for us to be able to locate a particular figure easily. So when you present your table, when you draw your table, or when you put your data very well in a table, it will help you to locate a particular data or a particular figure. Another one is that table helps us to compare figures or to compare information. We can be able to compare information. Now, when you draw your demand schedule, the law of demand states that the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded. Now, if you want to compare, I can ask you, okay, when the price is increasing, what happened to the quantity demanded on that table? Now, let's say the quantity demanded is reducing as the price is increasing. I may ask you, what make it to happen in that way? You can just answer, oh, it is because of the law of demand. It means that that table goes with the law of demand. So the use of table helps us to, that is to compare figures or to compare information. It helps us to be able to see what happened when a particular information, when a particular information is going in a particular way. So what will happen to another information? How will it go? How did it go? And through that, through the use of table, we can be able to compare two or more information. So I think that is that about table. So please, any question on that? So I think because of our time, that is where we are going to stop. So that is where we are going to stop. Please, any question? Please, any question before we bring the class to the end?
No question, sir.
No question. Everything is very clear.
Yes, sir.
So if everything is clear, can you quickly tell me two qualities of a good table? Quickly.
A good table should be easy to understand.
It should be easy to understand, okay?
Yes. And a good table should have a title for the rows and columns.
A title for the rows and columns. Yes, thank you. So what about Lizzie? What about the uses of tables? Uses of table or tables? Yes. What are the uses? What can we use table for?
I wasn't in the class when you were teaching then.
But when I was talking about the uses of table, you are there. Isaac, please, can you quickly help us with that so that she can get what we have said about the use of table? The uses of table.
Sir. Okay, sir. A table can be used to organize data and information in an orderly manner.
Okay.
It can also be used to let us locate the figures in a table, so we know the figures instead of
Lizzie, I believe you are following. Okay. So what other things? I gave you about 4. Okay.
Is it the uses or the features?
Yeah, the uses. That is what I'm saying.
Okay.
You just mentioned 2.
Yes. The table can also be used to sort out information, so it will not be bulky, to summarize it.
That is to summarize information. Yes, thank you. So we also talk about table makes it easy for us to locate a particular figure. I gave an example, demand schedule, price and quantity, and I asked you. So, and you've added your table already. I said add the